This is a quick review of the Balego EMS device. There's three main categories of these devices. There's the TENS units, which are typically used for pain. There's the EMS units, which are used primarily for performance. And then there's these NMES, or neuromuscular electrical stimulation devices that are used primarily for rehab. There's no real assembly to this. Just insert the 9-volt battery and then plug in the black ends to the unit and then the other ends to the electrodes, and you're pretty much ready to go. It has a lot of different options in the screen, so read the manuals, but the highlights of it is that you can change the ramp up time from 1 to 8 seconds, and you can change the how long it's on from 2 to 90 seconds, off for 2 to 90 seconds. You can adjust the pulse width from 50 to 300 units, and then you can adjust the pulse rate from 2 to, like, I think it's 150 hertz, something like that. So here quick, I'm just going to show you how you turn it on. You turn the dials, flip open the screen. The very first thing you're going to do is select the mode. There's 3 different modes in there. So you have alternate, constant, and synchronous. I'm just going to choose synchronous for now. That actually, the synchronous keeps both the channels together. There are 2 channels to this, a channel 1 and a channel 2. I'm setting the time off for like 20 seconds, something like that, maybe 10 seconds. And then the pulse width, I'm going to take it to the lowest setting, which is 50. And that'll have an effect on the contraction. You'll kind of see that here in a second. And then the rate, it goes from 1 to, I think, 150. I'm going to set it at 10. This is how quickly it kind of pulses. And then you can set your time off and then your ramp up speed. So the ramp up is how long it takes from the time the cycle starts until it reaches the full power of the cycle. But that's controlled by the overall gain on the dial at the top.
All right, I'm going to show you how to adjust the settings on this. All right. So the easiest way that this works is you just turn it on, turn the dial on like this. I can comfortably use for this, use 7 or on 6, I'll just stick it there. So you hit the set button, right? The ramp up, what that basically does is it tells it how long it takes it from the time that it starts the cycle till it reaches its maximum. So this is going to control your ultimate maximum. This tells you how long it takes you to get to that maximum, whatever you set it up at. So I'm going to hit the set button. It's going to take 5 seconds once the cycle starts to kind of reach its full potential, right? So move to the next one. This is how many seconds you want it to be on. I'm going to leave it for 32 seconds. The next one's going to be off. That tells it after the cycle completes how long it'll be off before the next cycle starts. So I'm going to leave it at 5. So this is the pulse width. So the 50 is as low as it goes, and I'll put it on 50, and then I'll do another one and do it at a higher level. So pulse, this is how long it lasts. The longer it lasts, the stronger the contraction. The other part of this that deals with the contraction is the frequency. So the rate right there. So right now it's 10's it's kind of low, but not the lowest setting. But you'll see when I turn this on, again, I'll set this at about a 6 or a 7, what it does from the muscle contraction perspective. So we'll go ahead and start it and turn it on to, so it should start here in a second. You should be able to kind of see it go on work on my muscle here in a second. So again, this is with the width at 50, the pulse width at 50, and I think the pulse rate at 10. So you can see there's a little bit of movement in there, but it's not terrible. All right, so I'm going to start this over. So basically, I just shut it off, right back up. Right, hit the set button. All right, the ramp's fine. I'm going to leave the seconds fine. I'm going to leave the width. Now I'm going to take the width and I'm going to take that to the highest level it'll go to. So 300 is the highest that will go to, right? And I'm going to drop the rate, right? So this will slow the contraction down, and you'll see the marked difference once it actually starts. And we'll see that time for a second. So it'll take a second to get going. So it's starting to ramp up now. I'm going to turn that thing up to about 6, about 7 where it was before. And you can see there's a marked difference in the strength of the contraction just by changing the width and changing the rate. So I'm actually not as high as I was. That's actually on 5. So now it's off and it's going to ramp back up here in a second. So you'll start to go and then it'll start to increase its. It's ramping up now. And that's about all that I really kind of want out of this. So you can see those are the kind of the main settings on this. Right now I'm only using one electrodes. It's got a couple different modes. I'll go ahead and show you that real quick. So you got the synchronous mode, which means that if you hook up both leads, hook up the other set of leads to it, they'll both do exactly the same thing. You've got the alternate, which means it goes through through this one, it goes through channel 1 and then channel 2, and then you can set those different. You can make the system go fast, and then make the other channel go slow, vice versa. You can do all different types of things like that, and then you can have constant, where it's basically just continuing to go. So those are your kind of modes. It's pretty easy to use. I'd say if you don't know a lot about anatomy, the other thing would be to figure out where you're sore at, or what are you trying to rehabilitate. Go to Google, go to wherever, and find the muscle insertions and the muscle origins, and then put those pads kind of about right there, because that will kind of show you capture the muscle belly, which plays an important part of how good this is at activating the muscle. So all in all, this is pretty simple to use, but it does take a little bit of kind of understanding like what the different features are on it, with the rate, the pulse, and then the time on, the time off, and the ramping. Those are kind of your major settings. It's going to affect your different muscles differently. Bigger muscles, it probably won't have as much of impact. If they're deep muscles, it probably won't have as much impact. But anything superficial, biceps, triceps, your delts up here, you'll definitely be able to feel it, especially if you extend that width, the pulse width, to the highest level, which is again 300. So if you're my recommendation is, if you've never used one of these before, start off with the lower settings. I would start off with a lower pulse width, and I'd start off with a higher frequency. That will kind of feel almost a little more, it'll feel a little more tingly than it is like a super strong contraction. Again, a high pulse width with a low pulse rate, it will give you the strongest contraction possible, and it could be quite stronger than what you're probably expecting. So all in all, this is an excellent product. I have no complaints with it.
All right. There's no start button. Set mode, there's no start button on the screen. It starts randomly and it's hard to figure out.